So a few months ago, this guy called Avid hosted this challenge called ACC5, which stands for Avid Community Challenge, and this is the 5th one he's hosted. So for the challenge, we had to make a roguelike Minecraft map, and I noticed that we could win up to $50. Unfortunately, I did not notice that this was only $50 donated to a charity of your choice, and not 50 sweet bucks to spend on Reese's chocolate. Now, had I realized this, I might not have participated, but of course, me not noticing, I decided to spend 2 months of my time making a roguelike Minecraft map. So here's how it went.
Here we go. All I have is a little bit of bedrock to stand on and a dream. But that's not going to win us the competition, so let's get started. So what I've done is I've added an armor stand right here, and it runs a command that summons an armor stand here, which runs a command that summons an armor stand here, and it keeps going on, and occasionally it goes to the side just to add a bit of variation, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and then, after all the armor stands are in place, it'll summon islands. So occasionally it'll summon one of these islands, or just a plain simple island, or an island with a chest. And yeah, it's completely randomized. This island is currently the most complex one. It has some fences, and it has this pigman who's named When Pigs Fly, and in his hand he's holding a knockback sword. So you better hope that you don't become a flying pig, you know. So this is all the progress I've made so far, and these chests, they don't have much right now. All of them only have a wooden shovel, but I'm hoping to add loot tables so that they can get different sort of loot each time you play in order to make stuff more interesting, and yeah. So that's what I'll be working on next. Okay, I know that I said I would work on the loot tables, but I actually decided to just make some more of these islands because they're really fun to make. So I made this sort of little doghouse puzzle thing. The intended solution for this one is to basically just go like this and crawl through it, but if you wanted to, you could probably just go jump over it or jump around it. So it kind of doesn't work, but whatever, I like it. I added this parkour thingy, and let me see. Oh yeah, I added a mycelium island, and when you step on it, summons a little mini boss. Oh yeah, I added this sort of ruins structure. It doesn't have any functionality yet, but maybe it will someday. So, yeah. If you really wanted to, it would be very easy to skip the boss fight like that. But, I mean, I kind of want to give players that option. So, I'm going to keep it. Now, the way I made these islands is actually very inefficient. You see, Minecraft has structure files, which it uses to load in structures like the desert pyramids, or wells, or jungle temples, whatever. And you can actually make custom structures and add them to the game. So what I could have done is make structures for each of these islands, and then I could have summoned them in with just one command. But the thing is, I'm really lazy, which is a theme you'll see throughout this video. So what I decided to do instead is this. If I go into my code, you can see that I have a file for each island. So this would be that cottage that I showed you earlier. This is the simple one. And what it does is it uses a bunch of fill commands and set block commands, and it basically just builds the island manually. And it's very inefficient, and it's a lot more difficult to do, but that's just the way I'm doing it. And then I have this function here that calls each of these functions. So it generates a random number here, and then it uses that number to determine which island it should summon, and then that calls one of these functions, which will summon an island, and that's how it works. So as you saw, it's super inefficient, but I am great at writing inefficient code. So yeah. Anyways, I'm probably going to go stop procrastinating and actually make the loop tables now. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I finally got around to making the loot tables. Here you go. The loot in every single chest is completely randomized. And let me see if I can find some more. Yep, this is basically the loot you get. There's some melons, a bit of string, some sticks, a pickaxe occasionally, and let me see if I can find it. There's also, here, shovels for hitting stuff. By the way, I didn't really want to include this pickaxe here, but I kind of forgot that once you kill this boss, so let me just showcase quickly. Once you kill this guy, you kind of have to break out of this cage, and I was too lazy to figure something out, so just give players a pickaxe so they can break out that way. Alright, so here is the boss. From here, it looks like just an inconspicuous bit of bedrock, but when you step on it, it expands and this guy appears. So he has a bit of dialogue that he says, and then these 4 pieces of ore appear surrounded by stone, and he says in the chat something like, here, that iron ore looks yummy, and then you have to go to the iron ore or else you're going to fall in the void. So you sort of just have to jump between all of these. So gold ore, gotta go to the gold ore. If he says coal ore, we gotta go to the coal ore, and so on. That's pretty much how it is. Anyways, after a bit, he'll start to get bored, and then he sort of just leaves. And if you wait a second, then, there you go, it'll say, you have beaten level 1. So I've decided that I'm going to split this entire data pack into 3 levels. So there'll be the easy islands, and then level 2 will be a bit harder, and level 3 will be the hardest islands. So everything I've been working on so far is just level 1, and next will be level 2. Okay, so over the past few days, I went really into grind mode, and I forgot to record everything, but I completely finished level 2. So let me just take you through it. Here we go. First, there's this little chest island. It's nothing special. And here is a bit of raw chicken, a bit of food, some coal, and some cobblestone. So yeah, and then there's this island. I think this one's really cool. Basically, you can see this sort of magic spell going around, and I can jump on the island normally, but if I happen to jump and one second, it's a bit finicky, but if I hit the spell, I get killed. So yeah, have to be careful to avoid that when you're going to the island. So I'll just pick this up. Whoops. Okay, so next is this sort of observatory-ish kind of thing, and then you get this telescope, and if you hold it in your hand, the entire sky goes dark, and I think that's pretty cool. This is actually the first island I made, and yeah. Okay, so next there's this little parkour thing. You have to jump over the glass panes, and it's not too tough, but it's a bit tricky compared to the rest that I've been working on. And then there's this illusioner, and when you step on the island, it turns it into an arena, and you basically just have to kill the illusioner. And once you do that, so just showcase, once you kill the illusioner, the entire island turns back to normal. And here's a couple more chest islands. Then there's this island where, as you can see, there's this sort of insurmountable wall. You can't really jump over it. So what you have to do is you have to go up, jump over, and then you can go back down. Here's a different type of chest. This type has a bit more armor in it. Here we got a bit unlucky because we only got 2 hats, but normally you'd get a lot more armor. So here's another one where you go up. Here's another Illusioner Island. And then there's this sort of parkour section, but as you can see, there's a furnace here, and the idea is that all that raw food that you got in those chests over there earlier, you can then cook in here and turn into cooked food, so it gives you a bit more saturation. So if players are clever, they could do that, and yeah, get some cooked chicken, and that would give a lot more health and saturation. There's not that much else to say. This is another Ender Chest Island.
Let me quickly explain why there's an ender chest there, because I forgot to explain it during development. Roguelikes are all about permadeath, and in my map I had done this by turning off keep inventory, but in a roguelike you should also be stronger on the next run, so in order to achieve this and stay in theme with the challenge I added these ender chests. So in theory, players can put some of their items into an ender chest if they come across one. Then there's an ender chest at the start of the map where players can retrieve these items and maybe get an advantage next run.
And then here you get to the innocent looking platform, but when you step on it, it'll summon a new boss. So this boss is going to be the Tri-Skeleton. So at first it looks like a normal skeleton, and you can just go ahead and kill it, but then it turns into a stray, I believe this is called, and if you kill that one, it'll turn into a bogged, I think this is called, from the new Trial Chambers update, and if you manage to kill this one, it'll turn into this little mote of dust, and it'll say, "You really want me to unleash my final form? Fine then, I've warned you," and then this wither skeleton appears. Because, oh, he's suffocating. Uh-oh. But then, anyways, after you kill him, you've beaten level 2. So one thing that I wanted to mention is that I really wanted to call him Tri-Skeleton, even though he technically has 4 phases. First the regular skeleton, then the stray, then the bogged, and then the wither skeleton. That's 4 phases, but I think Tri-Skeleton sounds a lot cooler than Quad Skeleton. So I kind of used that little, "Do you really want me to unleash my final form?" line to sort of justify that. So yeah. I'm kind of a cheater, but whatever. Tri-Skeleton sounds a lot cooler in my opinion. Anyways, that's about all I've done for now. Now it's time to get working on level 3 of the Sky Dungeon. Okay, here's the first island for level 3. As you can see right now, it just keeps repeating over and over. Soon there'll be more islands, but it's just this for now. So basically, it's a bit of a challenge where you have to jump up the chorus fruits, and then you see this particle over here. You jump up to it, and then a chest appears. And then theoretically there'd be loot in the chest, and you could loot it, but right now there isn't. So yep, you can jump up and then get your loot. It's pretty cool. Then there's still also the ender chest, of course. And yeah, that's it for now. Okay, so here is the second island. It's basically this another pedestal with a chorus fruit on top, or 3 chorus fruit, and you can grab the chorus fruit, and the idea here is that you could eat the chorus fruit. If you got stuck on a difficult section or something, you could eat some chorus fruit and maybe jump a little bit ahead. Okay, here's the third island. So you can see with the first 2 islands that I was going for a sort of end dimension thing, but I've decided instead that I'm going to do sort of just a dimensional vibe with stuff from both dimensions, maybe even a bit of stuff from the overworld too. I don't know. But here you go. It's just a little pool of lava. And yeah, that's it. Okay, and here is the fourth island. Basically, it's just sort of a mini nether fortress with a wither skeleton right there. Name is Thorin's Defender, which will be explained later on in the video. That's basically the final boss. And yeah, that's it. There's also these fences on the ends in case you want to try to cheese the wither skeleton. But yeah. Alright, so I think this is going to be how the data pack starts. It's not that complicated, but I don't think it needs to be. It's just going to be this single little button that says Begin Level 1. When you click it, boom, there you go. Also, I added this other handy button to reset the map in case you get stuck or something. So if you do that, you can get different sort of combinations and stuff. Here is the next island, and it's a bit of a dangerous one. So basically, there's a bunch of zombies roaming around, but if you want to clear them all nice and quickly, you can break this end crystal. But of course, you also run the risk there of blowing yourself up. So it's a very volatile island. But if you have a bow, then you could shoot an end crystal from afar, and that would give you a really big advantage. Here is the next island, or I guess parkour challenge. Basically, you can try to do this jump, which is nice and direct, but you run the risk of falling because this is a 4-block jump. So it's safer instead to just go around. Now, this isn't very interesting, but you know what, I'm running out of ideas, man, so this is the best that I've got, okay? Okay, this is the next, and probably the last island. I don't think I'm doing any more. So it's pretty much another parkour challenge, and there's a very easy route that you can take over these endstone blocks, but you don't really get anything for it. So you can go the much riskier route, which has another 4-block jump, and you can get a chest for it. Again, don't know what's going to be in this chest, but I'm sure it'll be something good, because this very risky route has 2 4-block jumps that you need to do. Okay, I'm going to be honest, I do not think that I'm going to have enough time to keep working on the data pack and record at the same time, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I've been procrastinating a lot, and there's very little time left until the deadline. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut to once the data pack is finished, and then I'll show you the finished product.
Actually, I won't show you the finished product because I'm going to save that for another video. Instead, let's look at the results. Alright, here is my map, and as you can see, I got a 23 out of 30. The winner got a 30 out of 30, so it really wasn't close. But, as you can see, this guy got a 20 out of 30, so that means I didn't get last place, which in my eyes is an absolute win.